Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larry Kenney.
Ming, I've always wanted to meet you, man. Big fan, big fan. How you doing, folks? Oh, thank you.
This microphone. I'm a little old school, so I won't be saying fuck. I just want to let them know.
Damn it.
You know, an old guy now. So you have to bear with me. I speak more slowly than the previous. Jesus, I'm falling asleep already. Anyways, nice to be with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much
thanks
for
for
coming on. I actually met a guy yesterday, he came running excitedly. He had a copy of a book that you signed for him.
Yeah.
It was based on The State, the MTV show.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know that your daughter was on that show. You did voiceovers for that show.
Yeah, my daughter Carrie, Kenney Silver. Anybody know Carrie?
The State, the Equity Black.
Yeah, Reno 911, and a new show, The Swollen Fox, called Us Against Them.
Yes.
Very funny show, watch that. Yeah, the guy came up with a book called State by State with
Yes.
the State. And I said, well, I'll be happy to sign it, but I really wasn't involved. And then I remembered, I wasn't involved with the book, but I remembered that I had been the announcer on
Yes.
the State 100 years ago. Anybody here old enough to remember the State? I was the guy who said, and now, MTV presents. And then they did a lot of parodies of commercials and things, so I was the announcer on some of those, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have an amazing career. At the age of 15, you were a disc jockey.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, looking back on it, it's, you know, when you're young and you do things, you don't think much about it. And then sometimes you look back and say, God, how'd that happen? Because I grew up in a little town in Illinois and of about, 18,000 people. And we actually had, at our high school, had a radio class. This is in should I tell them? 1963. Everything was black and white, there were no colors, horse and buggy. Anyway, long story short, we had a radio class, which I took because I didn't want to take.
Yeah, a real class.
Home ec.
Not a real class. But...
Home ec, yeah. So anyway, and then I realized I really liked it, and then I had a chance to do a 1 hour show a week on a radio station in the big town, Peoria, right across the river. Peoria, 200,000 people. And that's how I got started. I was very lucky. And looking back now, you go, Jesus, that was so lucky.
But you were also the voice of Count Chocula.
I've been the voice of Count Chocula for 35 years, and the voice of Sonny the Coco Bird for about that long, too. Well, you thought the bird was talking? It's a cartoon. Up here, I won't go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Boy, that was question. You owe me $1,000.
Hey, man, Ming.
I have a question for you. So you had your first radio show at 15.
Yeah.
How far out of puberty were you? Like, were you still...
You want to know what it looked like?
No. I just want to know what you
Were you in the market for a merkin?
What? No, like...
Hey, don't you be asking.
Well, it was a small town, and I got around quite a bit. That was a serious question, right? How far out of puberty was I?
Because like at 15, my voice was still...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, the voice.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about it, but I
like my question.
I didn't talk like this,
Yeah. And I was still there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Did you sound like Sonny?
But I think my voice was pretty much, there by that time.
Okay.
I guess so. I never
We weren't also lucky. My voice just dropped.
Really?
Like 2-3 years ago.
Show us what it sounded like before.
That was pretty much...
I didn't mean I wasn't making fun of you. I'm sorry.
It's all right, you can. Okay. You have to do it in a voice, though.
I wasn't making fun of you.
That's him, folks.
And if I may say so, he looks chocolatey delicious. God, I was so afraid he wouldn't think that was funny. Would you want him pissed off at you?
You don't understand how heavy this made me. You know what cereal I've been selling in my life?
You didn't eat that crap, did you? That's so good.
We all did.
I still do.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my son Tanner, who's with me, Tanner, where are you?
Is he the one sleeping?
Yeah. He's a voiceover artist too.
Really?
Yeah, and damn good one. And he liked you liked Cocoa Puffs, right? He loved eating count chocolate. Count chocolate.
Right.
I never tasted either one of them, to tell you the truth. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure I tasted them, but you know, I'm more of a Special K guy. You can tell. You know, you don't get a body like this by eating chocolate. Well, yeah, you do. Yeah, actually. You do. Yeah, it's been a long time I've been doing those.
Yeah. How did you go from radio to commercial voiceovers to Lionel?
Well, when I was in radio, actually, from the very first, I did voices on my disc jockey show. You know, believe it or not, I was class clown. You know, I always say if I had a nickel for it, yes. I always say we're not on camera, are we? I wore shorts. Oh, this is Tanner.
Sitting on laps. Ladies and gentlemen, Tanner.
This is my son Tanner.
Tanner and I met in the audience.
He eats Count Chocula, and I don't, and he's thin. Oh, okay, doesn't matter. Where were we? Well, I was class clown. You know, I always say I wish I had a nickel for it, and I do actually have a nickel for every teacher or principal or any authority figure in my life, and there were many of them who said, you know, Larry, I hope when you grow up, you find a way to make a living with your little jokes and funny voices. Well, I did. So when I first started in radio, I had been doing at school. I always did. You know, I would watch Jonathan Winters and people like that on TV. Jonathan Winters fan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's one of the 2 or 3 people in the world that I would just see. He would walk on the set, and I'm laughing before he says, "Hey, John, how are you?" So I would watch those, and I would stay up late and watch these things through the keyhole, you know, Tonight Show and stuff like that. And I had the capacity somehow to, without even knowing it, memorize their bits. And then I would do them at school the next day, and all the kids would think it was all, I had made it all up, because, you know, they went to bed at 9 o'clock. And now they're working in McDonald's. Nothing wrong with that either. Sorry.
Got to do something.
So I actually, and then doing those voices and cartoon type things and impressions of people on my radio show evolved when I got into larger and larger cities where you get paid extra for doing commercials and doing voices. That's how I eased into that. That's why I said I've been so lucky, because I didn't start out to say, okay, I'm going to be a disc jockey, and then I'm going to, you know, get into commercials. It just kind of fell in line, and looking back now, I realize how lucky I am.
You actually worked for Imus in the morning.
35 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were at.
Thank you.
You've been listening the whole time. So tell us what that was like. I mean, I've heard varying stories about Imus as a person, and I got to meet him when I was 15 years old. He seemed like a thoroughly pleasant guy. At WNBC?
Yeah, WNBC.
WNBC. And,
WNBC.
he was with Stern. Stern was in the afternoons.
Yeah, we were at WNBC. We meaning I was in the morning show. We were at NBC before about 3 or 4 years before Howard Stern came there to do the afternoon show. We did the morning show, and so we worked with Howard. Howard's a good friend. We have the same agent. Anna and I have the same agent as Howard. And I don't see Howard very often. I used to see him at Christmas parties at my agent's house. But yeah, for 35 years I was with Imus, and I would do, that was on radio for the first 25 or 28 years. And then we became syndicated on simulcast on television, MSNBC. So then I would have to go and put makeup on it. Different characters.
You were seen. You were seen.
That was the first time I was seen.
Okay.
Yeah. And get dressed properly.
Right.
You know?
You had to put on pants.
Yeah, and I would do characters like General George Patton. You know, I would do Elvis, and I would do different characters.
Does that work with the ladies? Changing up the voice? Do you get requests?
My son is here.
I'm sorry.
No,
It worked at least once. That's all you need to know, Ming.
Does it work with the ladies? Yes, the women of the audience enjoyed my work, as did the men of the audience. I'm sure that's what you mean.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll talk later. No, it's, I don't even know how to answer that question.
Once he dumps Tanner out.
I'll just use a phrase I used earlier. I did all right.
I mean, look at the legs. How could you not?
If I got the whitest legs you've ever seen, I'm the whitest white man. I wear shorts from the first day of the year where it's warmer than 55 to the end of September, right? I'm always in shorts. And my legs never get any darker than this.
Oh, I see you're wearing socks, actually. I didn't notice at first.
It's hard to tell where the socks stop, isn't it?
Blended right in.
Yeah. Is this interesting so far at all about my legs?
Well, one of your guests co-hosts.
He's leaving. Walter.
Somebody have any other filthy questions you want to ask him?
I'll do both parts.
Okay.
So Larry, did you? That's when he's young.
No, actually, I think you should let Bryan do Ming's part.
Yeah, no, we want to do it.
What is it's the first time
Don't
he's
do the
said
voice. Don't do the voice.
No,
One voice, come on.
The racist Ming voice. Oh, hey, did you ever knock a girl's bottom out like in character, like you're Sonny the Coco Bird?
That's you. What is that alter ego called?
What's that?
Your alter ego in this.
Oh, Steve Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you make that face when I asked you?
I didn't know what the
I thought you'd be happy to know that either I watched the show or I Googled it just before it came out.
Oh, okay, yeah. I saw you looking at your phone. Okay,
Yeah.
Steve Dave.
No, I seen the show. It's a very funny show.
I want to get into voice work. Can I do that? Can I just go with one voice? Like,
Yeah, that's the voice.
Like Ming? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the one to start with, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That one.
You want to start with the racism, because you go right into it. That's a great.
Yeah.
Networks love that.
Get it out of the way.
The networks love that.
All right.
You'll get a big wide audience with that.
Is that the way to get in? Is to have a diverse, I don't know, like a portfolio of voices? To
You mean
whip
to
out?
get into the business?
Yes.
I mean, that certainly helps. If it's a very difficult business to get into. And those of us who are in it, I think you'll agree, don't want any of you to get into it, because we wouldn't make as much money if you did the thing. But good luck, I'll be happy to give you advice. No, it is tough. It's very tough to break into, which is another one of the reasons I say I was so fortunate. Started in the radio, and then the path led to this and that. If I were just starting out today, and people come to me all the time and say, how I'd like to be in the voiceover business. What do I do? And first thing I tell you is to take classes. Wherever you live, Google, or I use Bing. Because it reminds me.
Was that your Bing voice? I use Bing.
No, this is my Bing voice right here.
Okay, that's better.
But I figured this crowd wouldn't know who Bing Crosby is.
Okay.
Well, so I tell them Google, look for in your area, the nearest big city or whatever, voiceover classes, voice acting classes, voice classes. There are a lot of places that offer them, but look for the ones that offer. If anybody here is interested, anybody here would like to get into the voiceover business? Okay. If you haven't done this yet,
You won't! Not if he has anything to
would
say
you like
about
to get
it.
into the voiceover business?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Well, do you have a Google machine?
I do.
I call computers Google machines because that's about as far as my understanding of them. I think they're magic. Tanner tells me that Noah is hooked up to a worldwide system, and then there are people who program it. I think they're just magic.
Well, before you keep rambling, I'll say this much. I think using what you said before, the competition aspect, always try to make yourself get better and always try to find a new way, a new outlet. We're never serious with each other. We're always doing new voices, we're always talking to each other. One of the first things I remember growing up trying to get into the business and learning was, Chichara, my legs, I can't move them. And just listening to him say it and trying to emulate that and trying to keep going with it and act.
That was the best Shatner I've ever heard. You should have been here for Decay.
Oh my God. Did you have George Takei?
We did. We had him up here.
Well, a lot of people had George Takei. I meant, did you actually be on the show?
He was on the show with us, yeah.
Ming automatically assumed you were talking to me. Oh, that was great. Thanks for taking that bullet from me, man.
Always. Thundercats, Lino, maybe one of your best known voiceover roles.
Now's time to clap, people.
Lionel been very, very good to me.
What was it like? I mean, was it as fun as it looked?
Yeah.
It sounded and...
Have you ever heard the outtake?
No,
You know that's not him. He's not really Lionel. Like on the screen.
Really?
No.
Give the Thundercats hell,
I
Ming.
can't do it, not in front of the expert.
If you have to,
You know what?
you gotta do it right now.
Come on, Ming.
Love
Come on,
to,
Ming.
but contractually with Warner Brothers, okay. Sword of Omens, come to my hand. I, Lionel, command it. Thunder. Thunder. Do it with me. Thunder. Thundercats. Ho! Now you owe me $10,000.
Head man, Ming.
Paid it. Is that why you
And
did
Theo's back.
No, that's...
But I didn't know we could just leave when we wanted to.
Well, if I didn't, I would have don't get graphic.
That's why...
Actually, you kind of have to leave when Brian wants you to. That's the rule around here. So.
Brian's
And
the
mostly people don't come back once they leave.
Brian's the
More of an
heavy.
escape.
Is he the heavy? He's the kind of.
Yeah, we actually.
You run security for the show?
What's that?
You're head of security for the show?
What show? I Sell Comics? TV show. This show? If I was head of security for this show, I'd throw these two out right away.
Now, does Silent Bob really not talk ever?
Oh, no, he's very
It's
vocal.
all at the end of the movie.
Pastor, the poor guy's been sitting here for an hour trying to get a question in.
Stand up, my friend. Oh, there's no mic.
He's been sitting there so long.
Come on up.
He's been sitting there so long, he's put on us for the first two episodes.
How can we help you?
Why does he need a microphone at this time?
Must apologize to Kenny Smith. I'm gonna break character. Sorry.
I know that. I Googled you too.
I actually have a question.
I want to congratulate you for what you put together.
Oh, thank you.
Not the outfit. I meant the show and everything. You know, your whole thing.
Thank you.
I'm trying to compliment it seriously, and maybe you don't think I'm serious.
No, I appreciate every word you just
All right.
said this entire time.
Thank you.
I'm a late bloomer in the comic book collecting. I'm starting my whole collection like now. I'm starting with my favorite character, Batman. Sorry, my favorite character.
We ain't judging.
Kick his ass once.
My question to the comic book, what would you consider would be you probably hear it all the time, what would you consider the definitive comic books that a person should have in their collection?
Are you asking me? Because you're staring right at Brian, who could care less about this.
Yeah, like, why would you ever ask me that?
You're asking the wrong
I think
guy.
everybody's Brian.
Unless you're staring at me with your ass.
Plus, I'm sorry, I'm looking right through you to that hawker eating a lollipop.
Why was I staring at your ass then? No, never mind. All right, Dark Knight Returns, absolutely. Batman Year One, Kingdom Come.
Well, not necessarily Batman, like something.
I'm not done yet.
Let the man finish. Let the man finish.
Justice League by Grant Morrison, Volume 1, and that'll lead to the 4th volume. And
Dark Phoenix Saga.
you're gonna make me cry, is what you're gonna do. Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, and for the last one, I'm gonna give you Demon in a Bottle. Iron Man, Demon in a
Good
Bottle.
one.
Thank you. There are a couple people who kind of like this. Also, Preacher.
Yeah, grab him now. You're at a con, dude. You can grab them all right now.
All right, somebody farted on stage. No, there's only so much giggling going on. Somebody farted.
Larry, what are you
I think it
working
was
on?
me.
What are you working on now?
Doing this podcast with the guys from the comic book show.
I heard that
Yeah.
sucked.
Oh, you didn't mean right like
Like, you know,
well, I'm
for
still
money.
doing commercials for Count Chocula and Cocoa Puffs. We just did a new Cocoa Puffs last week, and I've been doing Skittles candy commercials for 15 years. You know Skittles, those crazy.
Oh,
I'm the
yeah.
guy at the end says, feel the
Taste the rainbow guy?
Feel the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Yeah. The same voice I use on I do a show on VH1 called Best Week Ever.
Yes.
It's the 3rd week of March 2010, the best week ever. Best week, yeah. What else am I doing? I'm working in the backyard a lot.
Growing his own food.
Have you ever worked at a strip club? Like those strip club guys, they have a very distinct delivery that I can't do.
When my body was better, I did a little stripping.
Welcome.
Well, you know what it's like trying to do 4 or 5 different things. You got the ZZ Top thing going, you do this. It's hard to find enough time in a day.
Renaissance man.
Renaissance.
Jack of all trades.
Right.
Don't say Jack.
Sorry. Larry of all trades.
Oh, I thought you said something.
I think Larry's trying to get you to fill a void so you don't take their work away from him.
I think I could probably steal counsel.
You're smart.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up to the stage, Jasmine.
We got sparkles on the sunlight stage. Sparkles on the sunlight stage. Get your hands together, gentlemen. Sparkles.
You know, Chitara, I refer to Chitara as the original Thundercats hoe. I wrote that line myself.
This is my nerdy confession. Me and my friends don't speak her name aloud. We whisper it.
In your room alone?
Sometimes.
When you're having me time?
What was the name of that place you were talking about earlier? It's the
Claremont
strip
Lounge.
club for the Claremont
Claremont
Lounge.
Lounge, yeah.
Do you think that the strippers there have like old school names like Edith and like Gertrude?
Some, yeah. Blondie is the most famous.
Blondie.
I think there might be an Edith.
Sister Mary Beth?
Oh, that would be.
We all have our own fantasies.
I got nothing to say to that one.
I just imagine Sister Mary.
Columbia's a Catholic school, I got nothing to say to that.
Are you Catholic? I'm sorry. I didn't even offend anybody.
He's highly offended.
The wheels are off. We can do something about it.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, we're out of here. Thank you.
Chitara, the original hoe, I think that counts it. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, everybody.
So wait.
Larry, thank you very much. Thank you. I think that's it, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping another I Sell Comics. I'd like to thank everybody for being here.
Except Tracy Lords.
Well, I said everyone who was here, yeah, boo Tracy Lords. Tracy Lords was not here, and that reflects directly on you folks. I want you to know that, okay?
Missed out.
Really, that's true. It's like she thought that these people were not important enough.
Yeah, she
That's how
didn't
it's
want to perform for you.
Last week's episode, Tom Steve gave.
Gee, that's the phrase. She's
What's that?
performed for me very well.
Made fun of her for like 20
Did you want to ask me?
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Really, did you?
Maybe that
Is
was
that what happened?
We did mock her for about 20 straight minutes, so I was starting to think maybe.
All right, so the plot.
Would you like me to leave now? Should I leave?
It's like, I was going to be, well, if you'd like.
No, I thought it was over.
being here.
I thought it was over. I gotta tell you this, I can't do this too many times at once. I'm 65 years old.
One more time. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Larry Kenney and his son Tanner. I want to thank Bryan Johnson for being here and derailing us multiple times. That was awesome. Theo Crane.
Theo Crane, huge thank you.
Ming Chen, who derails me every week. And ladies and gentlemen, you're an awesome audience. And there you go.